enjoy the process. It will be done. It will be what you want with a lot of compromises, but eventually it will be your safest haven. Welcome to the Expanded Podcast with your host, Lacy Phillips. As a leading manifestation advisor with a process that's, well, radically different from the old New Age model, mine is rooted in psychology, neuroscience, and my energetic gifts. I created this podcast to help you expand your subconscious limiting beliefs about the potential of deserving the manifestations you're calling in. Therefore, you're tuning into this podcast series to show your subconscious that anything you desire is possible. And by pressing play, you've already started the process of manifesting it. If you enjoy this episode, please leave us a review, comment, and share it with your fellow manifester that's struggling or could really benefit from the information that you're about to learn. Welcome back this week. It's Lila and I. We're sitting here together and we are answering all of your questions about the house. A lot of questions have been coming through for weeks and weeks, and we decided to do one big episode as we get ready to launch this so that you have all of your questions answered. Excuse me. I feel like we've been laughing a lot.
I know. I have like smoothie still stuck in my throat.
Lila just shared what she manifested recently. Do you want to share with them?
Oh, sure. I was telling Lacy I recently manifested a membership to Equinox. I had been trying to figure out a new workout routine. I was a member at a yoga studio close to my house, but I go in and out of my routine. Like I was really obsessed with it, and then I had no desire to go the next month. Yeah, exactly. Very MG. So then I had canceled that, and there's a reservoir in Silver Lake that I'd been walking around trying to get myself to run. But I was like, I really need a gym or somewhere to go that will motivate me to exercise. And meanwhile, I was going through, I'm very inspired by the I Will Teach You to Be Rich book.
Oh, yes. You, Grace, and I are reading it. Maybe Caitlin picked it up, but we are all loving it.
It's fascinating. I opened like a retirement, a Roth, whatever. Yes! I could go.
No, you should share.
Oh, sure.
What did you steal from it? Because I think this and Smart Women Finish Rich, David Bach's books are really good. And so is Tony Robbins. He has a great one, but it's basically like, here's the thing, like go invest in low index funds. But I Will Teach You to Be Rich, I find to be so instrumental in the sense that it's like digestible. It literally gives you, these are the best credit cards. This is the best, savings account. Here's how to invest on your own by yourself through Vanguard. And a lot of cool tips, like I tend to already shop with everything on my credit card so that I get all of, whether it's cash back or I get points. But I didn't realize things like if you're maxing it out and paying it off every month, that's actually not great. Your credit limit needs to be much higher. Right. So you're only spending 25% of it. So a lot of things I took away, but go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No. Yeah, there are so many. I'm still not even done with the book, and it's already changed a lot of my financial habits. But yeah, I used Betterment. Because for some reason when I was trying to sign up for Vanguard, it kept saying something was wrong with my social security number, which is a little sketch.
Yeah. But don't worry, I've been getting the scam lately.
No, me too.
Have you been getting that one?
Someone called me and said they had a warrant out for my arrest.
Please, anybody listening, never respond to these things.
I was like, what?
I had one where they said my social security number has been put on pause because of fraud.
Me too, because of fraud. Yeah. And then I blocked the number, and then they call back with it's like the same number, but the last digit's changed.
That's the big. I think it's China right now, or I've heard through some media, or maybe Matt said that, or maybe that's conspiracy. But yeah,
it's something.
Don't answer it, people. Yeah. Do not.
They will not call you. They will send you a formal letter if there's anything wrong.
Oh, always, and give them a call. Like not the number provided, but actually call. Whether it's the Social Security Department or whatever. It's the people who do. Yeah, your credit checks, whatever.
Yeah. So I signed up for Betterment, and I created a Roth IRA account, and he explains a lot of the difference since I'm freelancer, I have, I'm a W-10, 1099.
Close.
Jeez.
W-2 with the 1099. Yeah.
1099. So I set up this my own retirement account and an investment account. And it's just been really fun. I put in like $200 a month.
Great.
Yeah. And then because he really gets you with the numbers. He's like, if you start investing when you're 25, you will have this amount of money. But if you start investing when you're 35, even if you put more in, you'll still make more if you started when you're 25. So I was like, oh my God, account now.
Absolutely. It's so important to do that. And
I had no idea.
His cash flow system is so smart, how you automate everything.
Oh, yeah.
I can't fully do it because of the company, but I've been able to manage a lot of it. Like I had Sweet Nikki changing every bill we have in subscription to the Amex for the points, and then that pays automatically on the 15th. So yes, continue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about those credit card points. I've been getting so many because I just get miles.
Oh, the best.
Oh, it is the best.
What are the credit cards that you signed up for?
So I had already signed up before I'd listened. So I have an Amex, and then I also have a Citi Advantage card,
which he likes those.
Yeah,
he loves that. Which one is it? The Citi.
Yeah, the Citi. I think there's
Chase.
It's Chase. It's Chase.
The huge Sapphire. He loves
exactly.
Chase Sapphire.
I know.
I have Amex too, and I still bank with Bank of America because it will be such a hassle to change
all that. Yeah,
but I called them, and I'm in the okay because I don't get charged any fees or anything like that, so it's okay. But I do want to change to Charles Schwab, like he suggests, which I do have an account, but change everything over to them.
I know. I kind of want to do Charles Schwab as well, but I am already, I have a checking and savings account or just checking actually in Chase. And then I have my old account, which was Capital One.
Yeah.
So I had my checkings and savings in there, and I'm kind of like draining that a little bit. But he did say to open the Capital One 360 savings account.
He loves that one.
Yeah. So I did that.
Good.
And I put like a big chunk of my money in that savings account.
Excellent.
So I'm just leaving that. I've already made like $13 interest.
There you go.
Yeah. Free money.
So again, little shout out for every woman and man, whatever you identify with, listening to this, go read I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, is I think how I pronounce his last name.
Yeah, it's super insightful. But so in the process of reading that book, I was inspired to go through everything that I'm subscribed to, or, my monthly expenses. I was making the spreadsheet. I was home in upstate New York for the past 2 weeks-ish. And so I was home making this like spreadsheet of everything I pay every month. And then I got on this roll where I was like calling my bank and getting these fees refunded that I had put off doing.
Which he gives you exact scripts of what to say.
It's
and
really
they're really
helpful.
good. Like when I went to go raise my credit card limits, which was not a problem, but I was like, I am looking to make some very big purchases soon. Do you think you can raise these limits?
Yeah.
And they're like, of course, on the spot.
Yeah, sure. I said the same thing. I was like, I forget exactly what it is now, but he was like, don't say like, can you? Be like, I would love for you to make this change or to refund this. And they're like, yeah, of course. You can get so many things refunded if you just ask.
Oh, people don't even realize everything's negotiable as well. Meaning like when you go to buy a TV, let's say at a, whatever TV store, and there's a sticker price, it's always negotiable in the sense that you can be like, here's what I'll offer you. Say it's $2,000. I'll offer you $1,500. If you don't sell it, give me a call. Like everything is negotiable. Obviously not with huge corporations. They're going to be like, no. Yeah. But same with cars, so just also small boutiques and shops as well. If this ever goes on sale, give me a call.
Right.
So just know that if you're listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I had always been way too lazy, and I would be like, oh, it's just $15. Or just, here and there, but that adds up.
It really does, especially if you're investing at 25 and what that looks like.
Exactly. So I got on this roll. I was like calling people. I got all these different subscriptions canceled that I had been like signed up for but never used. And I got like months refunded. You can even ask for months to be refunded. It was amazing.
Wow.
So anyways, I'm on this financial roll, getting everything organized and starting to feel really on top of it. And my cousin who just moved to LA called me and she was like, hey, do you want to sign up for Equinox? And I was like, I do want to go to a gym, but I don't necessarily want to pay $250.
For anybody who is listening and not from LA or New York or metropolitan city, Equinox is like it's like the Erewhon of
yes, exactly.
workout
it's
situations.
Like fancy.
But even more so, the specific one Lila's talking about in West Hollywood is like the Mecca because it's where all the celebrities go.
Yeah, it's like the Equinox.
Oh, yeah. Convenient if you're manifesting a famous boyfriend.
Yeah, and And, I am still.
One manifestation at a time.
Literally. So far, not going so well, but that's okay. But yeah, so I was kind of iffy about it, and she was about to sign up, and she would be able to have this deal where I'd get like the $300 initiation fee waived, which they pretty much will waive for anyone if you just ask.
Yeah. Again asking,
exactly. And then she was like, well, I actually have, because she used to work for NBC, and her mom works for NBC, so she got the NBC discount for Equinox. And that's another thing that I found out through this is if you're signing up for a gym or any kind of like club membership,
phone membership,
yeah. Check in.
Phone.
Even Apple. If you purchase at Apple and you belong to a big company
Disney or something, they will,
they give you a discount. So look into that. Because she even, the woman that I was signing up with on the phone asked if like I had any other company that I could look into that might have a bigger, or better deal. So definitely look into that. But so I was able to get the NBC discount through her, and so that brought the membership down to $170, which is only $20 more than the yoga membership I had been using and then not using for a few months.
Yeah.
So
you manifested a way better deal for Equinox. It all worked out. And worth noting that one potential expander that Lila's into for a guy was spotted there.
So either I'm a stalker or it was just a sign that I, had to sign up. But
maybe a sign.
Yeah, maybe
follow the breadcrumbs.
Exactly. But it worked out really well, and I'm really excited. And that has been inspiring me recently. It's just nice to have a place to go. I was telling Lacy that, when I get antsy in my apartment now living alone, I would use the excuse of a coffee shop to get out. And I've discovered that, for anyone out there, it's nice to just kind of move yourself into a new environment or into an environment where you feel maybe comfortable but outside of your home, just to kind of like refresh your mind. So.
It's just a great place to market again for people who are looking for expanders. It's sort of an automatic. I mean, clubs in general, I think, are like that. Club experiences, which we were just kind of chatting about the subject. I had no idea on the East Coast, because Lila goes to Cape Cod every summer with a family, and I had no idea that it was like a certain kind of scene. What is it that everybody's wearing?
Lily Pulitzer.
I've never, ever seen that in my
Vineyard
life.
Vines.
And what I was thinking, too, kind of back to these ways that you can use this energy of these spaces outside of your home that you go to often, it's repetitive. Lila was talking about, everybody's kind of similar that goes. And I was like, wow, you could so easily stand out if you have a very specific, authentic projection. So it could be great for both of those elements. I remember I, like you, would frequent places when I was younger as well, and just like looking for a place to write. I was actually really trippy. I would go to like the hottest bars in town and take my computer and not drink and like really
I'm
chic.
Still so expanded by that. I remember you saying like the red lipstick and
I had like a don't fuck with me energy, and every person in the bar was like, who is that? Yeah. But there's so many great ways, I think, to use those places to your advantage. And I think Equinox will be great for you when your generator side wants to go.
Right. I'm excited to see what develops from this.
It's amazing.
But it's been fun so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what updates do I have? I'm trying to think if I have anything before we pop into the house. Not too much. This weekend we're going to Max's brother's family's wedding, which is really going to be a good time, I think. And otherwise, I've just been up at the retreat house enjoying it. I know something we could talk about. Oh, yeah. And I think because this is coming out this Friday, it's so relevant. Have you been affected by the eclipses? Can you feel them?
I have been trying to tune into that because I had a session with Danny Feinstein not that long ago. Well, she was saying that this is like the midpoint of my Pluto transit. Yeah. So that like what I feel right now is kind of foreshadowing what I will feel when like it all explodes in March or January 2020.
And this is Danny Feinstein, who you guys have heard on the podcast multiple times.
She was on like 2 episodes ago, I think, too. And yes, I've been trying to tune into that recently, but it's been funny because I feel like right as they were kind of hitting was when I was like went back home and then came back here, and my family's like going through this huge transition. So I was kind of witnessing them go through that. So I haven't been feeling it all too internally, but I've just been kind of seeing how things have been changing a lot around me. So I'm wondering, I'm trying to figure out what my relationship to those changes is, and and how that will become. and how that will like manifest into my reality and my world. So yeah, it feels kind of like a passive eclipse season for me, but it is interesting to kind of observe all these transitions that are happening to my world and how that'll affect me.
It's so interesting because I have Danny on speed dial, and they were the eclipses. So my journey through them, same as last year. If we remember, I was hit with like a major rock bottom last year during this exact eclipse season, and I'm noticing a pattern. How in last year they were hitting in like my Aquarius and all of that, and this year they're apparently hitting my moon, which is Capricorn. So they would be hitting your sun. And leading into the eclipses, I was like, I can see like these major transitions that have to happen for these really big things, you know, that I've been calling in life, and feeling like very clear of what those would be. I, in fact, did all of next level in one day and up level. And it was like, oh, I see it. I can feel it. It's all coming. But I know some places where I still need to grow. Like I don't feel strong enough, you know, to follow through with some things. And then as they really started to hit that last Wednesday into the like fucking Cancer new moon and like the eclipse,
now Mercury retrograde.
And now Mercury retrograde hits, it's gotten really tense. So I don't know for people out there listening, like it feels for me tense in every aspect of my life. But this year I'm so much more equipped for it. Like, sure, I'm holding on tight in ways, but I feel like I last night did rock bottom, all right, just for fun. I'm like, I need to revisit the energetics, and I channel it so I forget a lot of things. I mean, I remember on the spot if I'm talking to a person because I'm channeling again, but just for myself. And P.S. I'm looking at that workshop and I'm like, we did a really fucking good job on that workshop.
Yeah, we did.
You know, that was the first time I revisited rock bottom, and even like everything that pops up and the information, it's so clear. But while I was doing it, I was like, this is such an exciting time, you know. And I got off the phone with Ellie earlier, another, you know, woman on our team, and she's like, I did Kundalini all weekend and these eclipses. She's like, so many great things are happening. So that's, I guess, a mixed review for anybody. If you're sitting and a lot's happening for you in this, you know, season, whether it's good or bad or, you know, passive, we're all in it together. And the one thing I'll say is it can only really be good. It's only going to force you where you're supposed to go and what's supposed to come through. And last year I had a very different perspective of my own personal experience of what was happening. And this year it's like I'm at a movie theater with candy. I'm like, I can't wait to see what's coming. So I just wanted to make, I guess that's my update. And no.
Yeah, I know it is a crazy season, that's for sure.
So excited. Cancer season. Whew. But moving on soon to good Leo season.
Yes.
That's always sunshine and rain.
Summer, yeah.
Well, shall we pop into the house?
Yeah, absolutely.
So to set this up for anybody listening, if you are a listener and you're just joining the brand, we have a retreat house up in Yosemite, my hometown, which will be launching actually, I think next week for signups. And so we realized we've been pretty mums the word about it. We've been sharing a lot on Instagram of features of it and what's inside of it, but we haven't actually explained the structure. So yesterday I popped onto Instagram and asked for you to submit any questions you would like. And so today we're going to pop through those and answer them.
Yeah, and I've had the pleasure of going up there a few times, and it is just so stunning. So I'm excited for everyone else to see it.
Yeah, you guys will really enjoy it. We hope.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Well, first we had a lot of people asking if you could walk through, you know, your process of manifesting this house, what tests you faced, any pings that came through, and what work you needed to do in order for it to fully manifest.
Yeah. So I started to know I wanted homes. You know, what's actually really funny is I wish I still had my very first vision board because on it and many lists I've made, I always have known in my life, sorry, Barley's itching by she's so allergic to fleas right now. I mean, I'm the hippie dog parent that will only put lavender on her instead of flea medicine. But back to it, I've always known I want multiple homes. That's always been a manifestation. So like back when I was, you know, very new to LA and waitressing, my vision board at the time had like an apartment in Paris, an apartment in New York, you know, my Malibu house. So that's something to know. This has been percolating for a very long time, but never a reality back then because I had zero expansion around it. And then about a year and a half ago, actually, I'll back this up a little bit. 3 years ago, I started to fall in love with my hometown again. When I left, I was like, I'm fucking out of this place. I'm like, Yosemite has rocks. Everybody has rocks. I'd grown up in that environment, and it was small, and it felt, like I was a very big fish in a small, pond. And then I started to go back as a reprieve from LA, and I started to go, wow, this is magic. I think I was just becoming older and going through my Saturn return, and I started to go, we have a river. Oh my God, Yosemite is breathtaking. And I would go and ground at my parents' ranch, which is, about 45 minutes away from the actual retreat house. And I would sleep so deeply, and I would walk barefoot, and I started to notice when I was an herbalist that on our property we had wild oat tops and clovers and milk thistles, and I went, holy shit, this is so cool. This would be the most epic retreat space because there's really nowhere to stay, and I'll get into that. So I started to concoct in my head then, and I still at the time was in no place to buy a home. And I started to go, if I ever did buy something here, I'd want it to be very natural, very wabi-sabi, part of the, landscape, but very much a part of like concrete, wood, and, raw materials. And I was like, if I have kids, I want them to have a stage, and bunks that they can stay in with their friends and all these things. And so that was just sort of dreaming. And I do have a manifestation journal of that from 3 years ago, starting to sort of cast that list, but having zero expansion. And about a year and a half ago, things were starting to pick up with the brand, and I went to go stay with both of my parents. And it was just something I was maybe going through. They're both lovely parents, and I love them so much. We're all air signs, and, we all have our stuff. But I did go this particular time, and my mom, she just wasn't showing up in any way. She shows up in a lot of ways for me when she's not drinking, and she just like wasn't making an effort or showing up in any way, shape, or form when I was there. And my dad also, he is hot or cold sometimes. We have a great relationship, but he can be really like warm and then sometimes distant. That's just always been our dynamic. In this particular time, I just was having an experience where I was like, my parents are so emotionally unavailable when I come to stay with them. Like, I'm adapting my entire life to fit into their world of like loud TVs and, just things that don't resonate with where I'm at. And at that particular time I left. And when I left, I said, I will never, ever stay with my parents again in their homes. I will always stay at an Airbnb or a hotel. And when I would look for them, there was nothing that existed that's of my aesthetic. And that must have been a really big test for me, because when I did get home the following week, the accountant said, it's time to now expand the business in another direction for taxes, and everything. Like, I've expressed, dreams and desires I have. And he said, you should go buy a retreat house. And he gave me the green light. And so for me, the real manifestation process, I think, was taking place for so many years. And I had such a lay of the land. I always knew exactly where I would buy. It would be in two locations that were more forestry than where I grew up, which is much more valley, and like an oak tree is like dead in the summer, and stuff. And so when it came to when I got that okay, I called my stepmother, who was my realtor, the next day, my ex-stepmother, and I said, start sending me some listings. I'm going to buy a house. I called my dad's really great friend that I've gone on to actually find out a couple of To Be Magnetic listeners or members have used him as well to buy homes up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh. That's
and
amazing.
I called him. He was actually in the hospital from falling off of a horse.
Oh, no.
only up there. Anyways, and they got the ball rolling, and I knew I would be going up a month later to look at places. And so I already scoured them online. And I will say something actually to back this up a little bit. This happened to be in about late June when I was looking, and I will back up to February of that year, of last year. February 15th was my birthday, and it was a full moon. I was in where was I? In Salem, Massachusetts for my birthday. And Max and I sat down at this like crab fishery place and we made a list of a house we want to call in together, just a dream home. And I think I even have it actually. If you look at the highlights on our actual Instagram for now, you should look at them.
Was that the one that was on the table?
Exactly, just on like a table thing. And so I will say that was the actual final list I cast for it. So shooting now to June, I pop up and it's the second house I saw. I knew it. It's in the same neighborhood as the first house I saw. The moment I saw it, I could see the bones. I was looking for something that would be 5 acres, have a little bit more land, but I just knew how medicinal this particular location is. So for instance, on the property, it's a full forest. So that means that it has cedars and Doug firs and pines, dogwood trees that are natural there. It's so medicinal. So everything you read about in forest bathing books exists. And on top of that, like my ranch, I saw right away there was a rock that had, like the Miwok Indians would use as a mortar and pestle. And I think that's such a beautiful omen. And I knew there was a creek on it. There were just so many elements my soul had been craving of greenness and moss on rocks. And then the bones were so good in the house. I could see immediately how I would remodel it. Because I've always had that eye. And growing up, my mom would sort of do that. She didn't realize at the time she was flipping homes just from being indecisive.
That was always my dream.
Yeah, to like go in and make your dream house and then sell it and buy something else. But I did grow up with her doing that. So that was probably a big expander. So as soon as I knew, I didn't bargain with them too much. They were pretty heavy bargainers. I don't know how to say that word correctly. The previous owners of 30 years, he was a pharmacist that lived in LA. His wife was a teacher, and this was their sort of snow chalet because it does get snow in the winter up there. We're basically at the same elevation and the same floor as Yosemite. So as the bird flies, if you were to go out of the backyard, we're only 10 miles out of the park. Of course, it's not a one-way road to get there. So they would come and cross-country ski. So there were like a ton of...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful place to do that, too.
Oh, yeah, just to pop out of your door and start skiing.
Oh,
I mean, what a crazy thing. So yeah, for me, there weren't any huge tests in the process. I was so super expanded by the point I was buying. For me... buying in Los Angeles has always seemed incredibly intimidating. So for the person listening, a common average 2-3 bedroom home, 2 bath here goes for anywhere from, in the areas, that we tend to live in, anywhere from 740 to 1.2 million. And so to me, that just seemed like an obscene number, especially if I were to do something like that on my own. So I've always this has been my model for everything. When I lived in a 300 square foot apartment for 7 years, I was like, oh, I know how to make this beautiful. So I'm a big proponent of buying cheaper, buying smaller, and using your resources to make it beautiful. But that's just because it's how I see things, and how I'm expanded. So I will be really transparent. The house was $290. It was, I think, on the market for $310, and I got them down to $290 because I was buying it through the company. The advice my accountant gave was to not put a huge down payment, put as small of a down payment down as possible. My mom's a real badass. She's absolutely never put a down payment down on a house, which blows my mind. She's such a good negotiator. I put 3% down. That was the lowest I could go. With not being an aggressive negotiator with my loan officer. Like she'll literally be like, give me a better deal, or I'm going with someone else. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it, whatever.
I need some of that energy.
I know. So, and why he advised that is because you don't get a write-off with the down payment, and you don't get a write-off with the mortgage, but you do get a write-off with the interest. So he's like, don't be concerned with the interest you're paying. Get as low as a down payment as you can go. His actual advice for me for this to be a true business move was to buy a couple that I didn't have to remodel whatsoever and could just start renting right away. I'm just a little too aesthetic oriented, and I cared too much for the things that we do to have gone that route, which would have been smart. I know a lot of people have been asking other questions, like, did we take a loan out for the remodel? It's actually incredibly, I think, constricting to do that. I looked into it because I think the money could be better invested, But anyway, like there's a big process around that where the county has to come do multiple checks, and the county was already so difficult to work with because it's such a saturated rental market there because it is Yosemite.
Oh, yeah.
So we paid cash for all the remodel that we did, and we paid cash for all of the design in it, and those are depreciables. So it works well for the company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you, which someone asked in the Instagram, was this your biggest manifestation to come through?
It was, yeah, at the time. It was, because from growing up the way that I grew up because my mom didn't start to really make money until I was around 13. And to this day, she still makes $80,000 a year. I mean, she doesn't make tremendous amounts of money considering, if you were to live in a bigger city. She does well for where she lives. But the way I grew up was with two 18-year-old parents who were very poor and were not homeowners until I was around 10 or 12. And so to me, being broke for so long in my life and then being able to buy my own home completely unmarried by myself, secure that loan, completely design it, working with a contractor with the team's help, but primarily being the project manager on it by myself was a massive accomplishment for me. At the time, I was like, pinch me, I can't believe that this is even a possibility or reality. Now, it definitely doesn't feel like it's been the biggest manifestation, but that's how we tend to be, I think, in the human experience. Is once we have something for so long, we get acclimated. I mean, this has been a project for a year now, and you guys still haven't even gotten to enjoy it because of how long construction takes. So it was at the time, and now I feel like other things have been, that may not even seem as profound to society, but have felt more tremendous to me. So I'm quickly interrupting this episode to invite you, if you're ready to start your manifestation journey, or if anything you've heard in our manifestation episodes has piqued your interest to begin. We have a la carte workshops in everything from the basics bundle, which is what we recommend to everyone who starts. It's the formula that actually teaches you how to manifest, unblocked inner child, and unblocked shadow. We also have a la carte workshops on love and money. But the real gem is the Pathway membership because it encompasses every single workshop we have. It's a year-long membership with full access to the few a la carte offerings we have and exclusive workshops not available anywhere else, such as the daily practice, which is what everybody in the Pathway uses, hopefully at least 3 times a week to daily, in order to truly create the new neural pathways that one needs in order to manifest, and houses the library of our deep imaginings, which is our unique hypnosis process that allows you to get into your subconscious and overwrite those old neural pathways, creating the new ones. You can use our special code, EXPANDED, all caps, EXPANDED, to receive $20 off your first a la carte workshop purchase or $20 off your first month of the Pathway. Again, that's all caps, EXPANDED, EXPANDED. Okay, now back to the episode.
Yeah, what an incredible process too to watch.
Thank you.
But
I still think you should buy a house.
Oh, I know.
Next year you can.
At Joshua Tree.
Yeah,
I know. 3 years if you're an independent contractor.
Or is it 2?
Oh, I thought it was 3. Maybe it's 2.
I think it's 24. I'm sorry, 48 months. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the next.
But
year.
Ramit says with like home investments may not always be the best. So he advises.
Oh, you're right.
Are you going to live there for 10 years? What are the interest rates like? What way do you intend to use it? I'm a huge proponent of it just because I've grown up where most of the people I know have invested in real estate and it seems to always be consistent, even if there's a fucking recession or crash, it always goes back up again. Right. So I'm a big proponent of real estate, but just because I've been expanded in it.
That's what Ramit says too, is like always look at the long term, not the short term.
Yeah, and if you're Ramit, I mean, he's looking at Manhattan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's different.
That is different.
An apartment's like $25,000 to fix. You know what I mean? If something goes wrong. Right. So it's crazy. So
I know you designed it all yourself and I know you kept the bones, but tore apart the interior and then built it the way you had envisioned. And some people on Instagram were wondering kind of how did you come up with that inspiration and how did you choose what materials you wanted? I know for me, I imagine it to be a little bit overwhelming, like having this blank slate and wanting to bring your vision to life, and just curious about how you went about all of that.
Yeah, that was so hard for me because a good preemptive thing to talk about is that I did work for one of the best interior designers in Los Angeles for a couple of months. I interned when I thought I wanted to maybe be an interior designer. And she was phenomenal. So I learned a lot about project managing and resourcing. But by the moment it became time to do this place, like when it closed, in late August and the fire didn't burn it down this year.
Right.
This last year, who knows this year? We don't know. But I went, holy shit, I'm so out of touch with everything they used at the time. I mean, at the time they were like using Serene and Lily. I think that's what that's called. Yeah. I did, though, remember how much she loved Nikki Kehoe. And boy, is the whole house pretty much Nikki Kehoe. So I instantly reached out to a good friend of mine. Lauren Moore is her name on Instagram. I think it's Lauren Alexandra Moore, and she has a fantastic eye. And I said, holy shit, Lauren, I know based on Pinterest is where I went first. And I put together a board and I was like, I know I want these floors, I want this. And it was all based off of Pinterest polls. Where do I source any of this? And I think for her, it was a little overwhelming because I was like, I'll pay you $300 to like source me these things. And she did, and she did a great job. But when she sent it back, it wasn't anything that I would have loved. Some things were, and it was helpful to see different vendors like, this vintage reclaimed brick spot and stuff. Right. And so it's really important for people to know that there's what you want, and then there's a reality of what can happen. Because once you actually get into the building phase with the contractor, and I went through a couple of contractors, we'll talk about that as a manifestation process because I passed a test and didn't pass the second test. But they'll be like, that's great. But, here's a great example. I knew I wanted beautiful cement throughout the house. And they're like, the house is on stilts. It can't support cement. So it's like, think of something else. Yeah. And, I knew I wanted beautiful gray brick floors. But they're like, if you do a normal brick size of height, it won't match the rest of the floor. You have to get a 4th-inch
all
size.
Those things you just don't imagine.
You don't know any of this. And so, and then they're like, the county won't let you have 4 bedrooms unless your septic accommodates that. And so I knew that's why I guess for the person who's buying a home and knows they want to remodel, it's really good to do a walkthrough with a contractor during the buying process, during the contingency process, because if they go, oh my God, then you can get out of it. Or if you do plan on buying a place to make it an investment property that'll be a rental, please walk through with somebody at the county or a contractor who knows the county's needs for that, because a great example is what's taken us so long is we just had to re-engineer the stairs entirely to get past with the county. And we just had to work with 2 engineers to pass the outdoor units, and so that's why this has been a year project. But so when it came back to sourcing, I finally was like, Lacy, you used to work sort of as an interior designer, because once I left her, I just went into taking my own clients and I did fine. And then I realized I didn't like designing for other people, just myself. You had to just source. You had to spend a lot of time Googling and fucking Googling.
Right.
And so that's what I really did for the most part. And then the girls helped me. It was really Caitlin who was tremendous in helping me order. And I ordered most everything at once, unknowing that there would be multiple phases. So like for the average listener, the floors go in last. Don't need to order those until last, especially if it's a snowy climate. Where are you going to store those? And we had a beautiful vintage sink that was reclaimed from an old mansion in Pasadena that froze in the snow and broke because it was, delicate porcelain. And I'll blame that on the contractor. Should have known better and had that in the basement. But so a lot of the sourcing, I know people ask where the brick floor is from. In fact, once they told me they had to be a 4th-inch thick, I did hard Googling and I found them at Home Depot. So that was a real score because that was really cheap per square foot. The hardwood floors I ended up finding at at liquid lumber liquidators. So those were really cheap per square foot. But everywhere along the way was really emotionally exhausting when I didn't know the exact pull of what I needed. So like the hardwood floors, I always knew I wanted concrete, but I had to settle on hardwood floors. And now I love them. Concrete would probably be kind of weird in there. But it took me months of wrestling with myself and pulling samples, because you can just pull samples whenever you're thinking of ordering something, and having them come and be like, I don't know what that's going to look like on a whole floor, you know, and all of that. So yeah, the sourcing, I wonder maybe someday we should just share our list of what's sourced, because that could be very helpful.
Incredibly helpful. Yeah.
And there were points I do have to say to the common person who might be remodeling a place, buy really cheap in the ways that nobody will notice. So like buying those lumber liquidator floors, they're beautiful oak floors. Nobody could ever tell that they were a much cheaper, floor.
Yeah, not at all.
Upon getting them. And I had bought, like a great example, I had bought an original faucet that was just like a cheap $200 at the time faucet. And then I stumbled on Remodelista of this like Barbara Wilson faucet that was like $2,900, but fucking stunning. And so I started to really see where I could splurge and where I could really go cheap, with things. And I reclaimed so much in that house is reclaimed. So every tub is like from the 1800s pure porcelain that we would buy at a really cheap place in Boyle Heights here. There's also in LA a place called Pasadena Architectural Salvage that has really great reclaimed fixtures. And another place I used very often for much of the house for a lot of the light fixtures and things is called Liz's Antique Hardwares on La Brea. So I really would splurge on those things. And then the paint was like Kelly Moore and cheap. You know what I mean? It's like, because up there was no way to like go the eco route on the paint. That just wasn't going to be a possibility. So sourcing, it was just a whole bunch of like really painful Googling and,
I imagine
and asking.
A lot of rabbit holes and
so many rabbit holes. And it gets easier over time, honestly. And then a really great thing that we kept was we have like a massive Google spreadsheet that's like the budget, the house, the remodeling interior, the sourcing, how much we've paid everybody. Like we have every single trace of what's happened in this home. And now that Max and I have just, purchased this Topanga place together, we're going to have to go through a very similar process. It's so much better doing it with another person. Everything's half.
Yeah.
And this is our personal space. So, but we're applying the same, spreadsheet theory to it because it makes it very simple to go back and use similar vendors and stuff.
Yeah, Ramit would be proud, I imagine.
Oh yeah,
Spreadsheet.
he's like my hero, my expander. He has a spreadsheet for how he travels. Like his assistant has things waiting for him at where he it's incredible.
It is incredible. And I know you've added a lot of really special amenities to the house as well. Which I don't think a lot of people know about yet, but the amethyst in the floor, and even like the outdoor sauna and the outdoor bath. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about those little special additions.
Yeah, it's really cool. The place is very biohacked in a lot of ways. So I specifically chose a place that doesn't have any cell towers within, I don't even know how many miles radius, but certainly not within 4 miles, because you don't get service out there. You just have the Wi-Fi, which I personally turn off in the evenings when I sleep. But yeah, so there's quartz underneath the floors, which is really special. Plus it's in an area that's totally like, there's quartz all in, embedded on the land everywhere. And then amethyst in the walls, crushed up amethyst. And there's a biomat in every single room for people because it's really designed. And that's something we should actually chat about. I think this will be a question, but it's designed to be a self-led retreat space. So this will be for the community to book and go up and really, rather than me being there leading people through retreats, it's actually a place to go and strip away from everything with your unblocked village or your closest group of spiritual friends or your bridesmaids or whatever, is your people. Like I always used to envision if I got married one day that my, what do you call that? Bachelorette party. You can tell how I've clearly not planned anything to do with a wedding. But my bachelorette party would be something like this. I would go somewhere where I could be spiritual and disconnect and, maybe bring in a chef to teach us how to cook or something. So it's very much designed as a self-led retreat space. And so therefore, we've equipped it with everything you need to have a deep experience. We call it naked, to peel back the toxicity in your life, to peel back the pollution, to peel back the non-native EMFs, the thoughts. You're in nature, so it really takes you and gets you into your circadian rhythm in a way. And so the whole thought is to get there on a whole different visceral level, to completely unblock into your most authentic self, like get a real disconnect version of that. So that's something to mention. So therefore, each of the rooms have a biomat. Every room has blackout curtains. Not that there's any real light pollution, but it's to ensure you don't have any of that. There's an infrared sauna on the property with 2 outdoor showers. It's worth mentioning that all of the water's on a spring. And so it's very sulfur rich, medicinal, beautiful spring water. And then there's an outdoor spa section that has 2 clawfoot tubs, a sink and a toilet, so that you can lie under the stars or the full moon and literally moonbathe.
Sounds so peaceful.
And stargaze. And when you walk out of the property, what's so beautiful is because it's in a national forest, you can you can walk to, I think there's at least 7 historic hikes that you can go on that you feel like you're in the park of Yosemite with. And every light bulb is incandescent to keep you in your circadian rhythm. It's fully loaded with every kitchen amenity that you'll need, from Heath ceramics plates to vintage silverware to beautiful wood utensils to cook with. Le Creuset is the dishware, along with vintage copper pans from France. And we have everything. We have like an air fryer, the Instapot, we have a juicer, Vitamix. I mean, it really is fully loaded. It's your space to go take yourself on the most incredible self-retreat or, self-guided retreat amongst yourself or your closest, whomever you'd like to spend that with there.
And a lot of people are wondering too, if it would be available to rent separate from the retreat.
Well, yeah. So that's the whole notion. It's like you rent it and do what you want there. When you go, whether you're a member or not, you have full access to all of the workshops for the period that you'll be there, along with everybody accompanying you. And then that's what it's available for. It's totally for the people. And then I live there when I'm there as well, which, you guys will have that experience to yourselves. And then we kind of get to share that energy in a way, because I'll have lived there probably the week before you come. And so it's totally, that's the whole notion, is it'll be rentable for everybody when they're ready for it.
Well, I know a lot of people are worried about where you'll be resting when you're kicked out.
In fact, that'll be Topanga. That was a good manifestation process, because I gave Max a real ultimatum, a few months ago, because LA and Echo Park, where we are, is just a bit too exhausting with the blue light and non-native EMFs and all that, the stimulation, that I said, if you have to be in LA, I don't. If you want to be here together, we're moving to Topanga, we're breaking up. And he said, okay, cool, we'll find a spot in Topanga. So that's where I'll be resting when I'm not there. And then eventually we'll have one of these in Scotland where I'll be spending time at as well.
Phew.
Yeah.
And when will it be open?
So we're looking to launch. I think we're having the soft, the VIP people are going to be getting their emails who signed up for the email list. So again, if you're listening to this, you have time to go to @Forest Retreat, the Forest Retreat on Instagram, and sign up, and you'll be one of the first to receive. We do anticipate it booking out rather quickly. So you'll be receiving the first email with the first calendar dates available to start booking. And I believe those will be going out next week, if I'm correct. We'll be checking with Grace on that one. But very soon. And I think, it'll probably start booking up quite quickly. And something else worth mentioning is there are seasons there. So we're still deciding if it'll be fully open in the winter, because the winter gets a little rugged. You do need 4-wheel drive to get there. It has been totally redesigned to accommodate if power goes out, because everything's attached to the propane tank so that you can still have hot water, and you'll have the stove and all of that. Even the heater is attached to it, and we're getting a generator in there and all of that. But we're still deciding if we're going to keep it fully open in the winter or just open to the people who can make it there with 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I mean, I go every winter, but some people aren't accustomed to that.
Yeah, I feel like there's such magic in each of the seasons that brings something different.
So magical, especially when you get into sort of celebrating more paganism and the earth and going on nature walks and pulling from nature to make your altar while you're there. Oh my God, even around Halloween, or I never pronounce it correctly, Samhain.
Oh, yes.
How do we say it?
Samhain.
I know, we always do this. But it's just so special. At Midsummer, May Day was so special. And in the winter, I celebrated Yule there with my family. And that was just really incredible.
Yeah, and I got to see it covered in snow too when we went up
Oh,
there.
you did. You guys
so
got
beautiful.
snow.
We made little pine tea from the pine needles.
Yes, and that's the beauty. Like, you can make your own cedar wraps. And if you're not following on Instagram already at the Forest Retreat House, you should go, because we're giving away so much information on there of like how to make your own cedar bundles and, you know, teas, and a really, really incredible paleo banana nut
Yeah, I know.
bread
I have that bookmarked.
that I make for every guest that usually comes, that have been my, you know, personal guests so far. So that's what we're trying to do too, is create on the Instagram what you can do with your experience while you're there. And we have created, you know, a PDF, and there will be everything on the site when people do book, of suggestions of how to go through the workshops and what trails to take, and how to sun gaze and stargaze and moon bathe, and, you know, how to really just get back into homeostasis and authenticity.
And outside of the actual property, are there other, within the town, like other healing modalities offered, and health food? I know some people were wondering about that.
Yeah, so we list on there all of the healers that I use while I'm there. So that's from my homeopath, my acupuncturist. There's wonderful masseuses on there, the chiropractor that I use. And that's something, I mean, we're so used to LA that practitioners here are like $150 to $300. And they're in the 60s to 70s. So fortunate for me so far that most of the practitioners I use are expats from Manhattan and LA. So like my homeopath single-handedly up there has healed my insulin and blood sugar, my insulin resistance and blood sugar levels. So we'll have all of that information. And then, of course, if you do go during the spring, summer, and fall, there's a river, you know, that's located there. And then we list the swimming holes. There's a health food store within the direct town. We list, you know, the only 2 restaurants I'll eat when I'm there. So you really do get this customized experience for how you navigate the area when I'm there. There are also 2 Linus bikes that you can ride and go. There's a lot of blackberry bushes when they're in season. There's also in October a beautiful apple orchard that has a you pick day on Sundays, so you can ride the bike and go pick apples and come back and make things or juice or what. I mean, I guess it's like there's no number to the things you can make with apples. But yeah, it's really, really special, from the hikes to the watering holes to Yosemite, going into Yosemite, the park. It's amazing.
And I know you've mentioned a lot of things you've learned along the way, but would you say there's one collective lesson you've learned throughout this journey?
Wow, what would that be? There's been so much. Mine would be something I haven't accomplished yet. It's to enjoy the process. I'm too much Aquarius Aries. Like, I have that problem even within our company. Like, I'm like, to the next, keep going, go, you know, and I don't take the time to be like, whoa, look what I've done with this. Look where this is at. I'm still like, to our contractor, I'm like, when's this done? Like, what, you know, and that would be the advice I would give myself and to others is enjoy the process. It will be done. It will be what you want with a lot of compromises, but eventually it will be your safest haven. It'll be so special. And so I get glimpses of that when I'm up there, you know, when I'll be at dusk in my own personal room's bathtub, looking out through the windows and the forest and feeling so in touch with the trees and the animals, and I'll be like, whoa, wow, who did this? And this is my dream. That would be it, is trying to be more present and appreciate it along the way.
I think that's a good one.
It's a great one.
And I know you mentioned Scotland might be next.
Yes.
But yeah, they were wondering, we had a lot of people wondering, what's next on the docket? What more can they look for, even though obviously there's so much already. But.
Yeah, no, I definitely am still going to Scotland in October, and I'm going to go give it a deep dive. A couple on Instagram have been sharing some places I'm already familiar with, but that's a trickier one because it's not my hometown. I have to go like spend time and find the perfect area and then find the perfect land. And I really want an old farmhouse, and I want it to either be by the locks or the ocean or both, say somewhere like Oban or Oban, I never pronounce it correctly, or even Isle of Skye. Like just, there's so many options there. Glencoe, I mean, there's so many options, but there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of Scotland in my heart. So there will be one there. And one day, Max tries to convince me otherwise, but I do think we may do one in Maine as well. So that would probably complete them, and then on to another project.
Yes, never stopping.
Never stopping.
Well, that concludes the majority of the questions we had from everyone out there.
Excellent.
But I think that's really expansive for anyone looking to build or buy or explore.
And when you were there, Lila, what were some of the feelings that you had or your experience and interaction with the place?
Well, it's interesting because you do kind of sink fully into that natural circadian rhythm, even with just the not iridescent.
Incandescent. Yeah, close, super close. Yeah.
Incandescent lighting. But as soon as the sun goes down, I feel my energy kind of go down with it. And I feel like here I'm like a night owl, like up.
Yeah.
But, and then because I was there kind of winter and then spring.
Yeah.
So, still kind of getting dark a little bit early and then staying dark a little bit later in the morning. But I would wake up feeling so restored, and you do feel just so at peace with all the woods around you and all the clean air. I mean, coming from LA, it's almost sad how the big difference you sense in the air in terms of the cleanliness.
Yeah, it's
from
crazy.
It's like I want to just get a big jar of that air and bring it back here, But
yeah.
But it really is special just to have that experience in nature, and especially doing this work there. I think, you spoke about having just the retreat, especially just stripping you naked of everything, and I think being able to separate yourself from the busyness of your life and be surrounded by nature, which is our ultimate healer, while doing all of this work is really, really special.
We've definitely been batting around the idea of creating a workshop specific, a retreat specific workshop while people are there, which may be 2.0 of this. However, I would send things for people to do when they would come visit or stay alone there, my guess. And what you end up doing most of the time is bringing beautiful food. Another thing worth mentioning as well, spring, summer, and fall, we have a CSA that delivers every Thursday. So there will be delivered fresh produce to each party that stays on Thursdays. And you end up cooking and listening to beautiful music and meditating. And, we have sound bath bowls there, and you end up retreating early and doing your DIs and going on the hikes to connect. It really is literally, I think, the definition of a retreat. I personally have only been on one guided retreat, with the healer there. And it wasn't my big cup of tea. There were aspects that were special, but to be honest, I think you can go so much deeper yourself or with your closest people that you want to enjoy that with and that experience. And I think that's where the real magic is. I feel like you'll end up enjoying a lot of beautiful meals there and going to the river and throwing your towel over the ledge while it dries and having your river skin and hair and lying naked in the sun and hammocking. And there's a beautiful now little bench, a vintage bench down by the creek that I meditate at.
Oh, how pretty.
And so I think it just is a huge reprieve from society to get to know your truly authentic self and strip away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the basis, or for me, this work is really about being alone with myself and understanding myself. And I think, distancing myself from this crazy reality, your crazy city, or even if you're not in a city, just really allowing yourself to be alone and go through this work on your own, I think is so powerful, especially like I said, in nature.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited. I can't wait to start hearing the feedback.
I know, that is exciting.
Other things worth mentioning as well is that we do already have product there. We're testing out different product that we really want to brand with. So for example, we have like all John Masters right now in the outdoor showers, and inside we have Sisters, the brand. We have Nadine Artemis as well. So we're still navigating what product we'll be keeping there. So I like the way that I tell people to pack is, pack a tote carry-all and just pack. And we have a suggestion of what to pack and all of that. So that's worth really noting. And then the other thing too worth noting is that every room has a walking stick. You have a parachute robe waiting for you so you can walk out to the amenities. So cozy. All of the bed linens are either Koyuchi, Parachute, or Mateo Home. It really is like the high-end luxury biohacked retreat space.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a forest bath.
You feel so spoiled when you're there. It's like
it's really luxurious. And so that's something worth mentioning to everybody, is that you're in the all organic, cozy, finest linens. And yeah, there's designated towels for the river. There's designated towels for the sauna and outdoor facilities. There's designated towels for inside, and just so many special little treasures and treats to enjoy, to dine or read or experience. There's also a beamer mat there for people who are familiar with the beamer. So that's waiting for anybody who wants it. So yeah, it's your little biohacked luxury wellness space.
Yeah,
coming to you soon.
Like, when can I come next?
Well, you're coming next, 2 weeks, right?
Oh, yes.
We're finishing. Lila has been beautiful enough to make us all of the like navigation videos and start here videos. And so we're finishing all of that up. And we're going to do a podcast with my homeopath up there who's healed me. So you guys will get to know one of the healers up there.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet her. I want to make her.
Yeah, you should make an appointment actually right now, because that would be great to go visit her.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for more information, simply head to @theforestretreat, the Instagram, give it a follow for some great tips, and you can check out a lot of what it looks like. And on the subject line, you can click to join the newsletter to be the first to hear about it or to continue getting updates of when it's available.
And we'll link the website too below. So
Excellent.
You can find out more information.
Well, I think that's all for this week. Wishing you guys a wonderful weekend, and I can't wait to have you experience something we're definitely considering doing in the future is holding events there where we'll have obviously limited access for who we can rent rooms to, but we are going to most likely collaborate with the Auto Camp so that we can start to hold speaking events or workshops there and come do that up at the House in Nature. So look forward to that and have a beautiful weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into the episode, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, we did. And in case you're not totally ready to join the pathway yet, I wanted to share a few of our free offerings that I'll often suggest to people as a little bit of a blueprint to get them started on their manifestation journey. The first place I like to direct people completely for free is the motivation. You can see it linked below or on our homepage as our testimony library. And it's categorized by different subjects, whether you're calling in career, money, love, wellness, and much more. When you're reading about a member's experience of what they manifested, you're actually seeing to believe and showing your subconscious that that very thing is possible for you. The second place I like to direct people is to the free clarity exercise, which is also linked below. In it, you get to try our own unique hypnosis process, learn about the science, and some journaling prompts. And the best part about this, you'll get a tiny taste of what it's like to go into your hypnotic state, bring your subconscious forward, and create new neural pathways while receiving clarity. And the third thing, if you haven't listened to it on this podcast yet, please go back to the episode titled Manifestation 101, where you'll learn the basics of neural manifestation to truly understand this process. So go ahead and check out those free resources, the motivation, the free clarity exercise, and the episode Manifestation 101, all linked below. And in an effort to make sure to have representation in this process series, go ahead and submit any process testimonials you have, especially to our LGBTQ plus community, our BIPOC, as well as the Ys, which is anyone in the community who is 45 and over. All right, we'll be back next week.